And so it's just like, dang. And it's some horrible realities of it too, that like I told the guys this and I haven't. When I jumped down on him, he had doll's eyes. And so I was like, man, these are wounds incompatible with life.
You know.
Yeah.
You want to take a break? Let's take a break. You want a minute?
Good. We have some correspondence with the chief of the school on that day, on Monday before Charlie was killed. And why this hadn't come out and why he won't stand up like a man and admit this, I don't know. But he's watching a bunch of men lose their careers, and he's okay with it. On Monday before, this correspondence went to Chief Long. Hello, Chief Long. We received this message today from the student group. There is a student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at the Utah Valley. The Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to walkways on the roofs. He comes back, and for edification, the Sorensen Center was the building in front of the Lucy Center. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof. And came back and said, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. He comes back, and his last correspondence was, I got you covered. What else am I to do? When a command level person from an accredited police department says, I've got this area.
Jeez. Have you been in who is that?
That was the chief of police for the UVU police department. We've called him. He's never called us back.
Holy shit.
So literally
all they had to do is post anybody at that stairwell.
Stairwell, roof.
Or put a drone up. Or
let us.
Let you do your job.
Or let us.
The more this story unfolds, the more it feels like we are standing in the same place, looking at the same moment, but somehow getting 100 different explanations for what happened. Maybe that's why so many people are hating, ladies and gentlemen. Frustrated and confused. Yeah. And honestly, it's tiring. Literally. Because deep down, nobody's trying to attack anyone. We just want clarity. We want truth. Yeah. And we want to honor Charlie the right way. Literally, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what I want to know? I want to know when he got on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're shooters. Where it's easy because we have a range, and our guys do it as a sense of pride. Even though we know we work on all this other stuff more, the shooting we work on because it's a sense of pride. And then, so you look at things like that. In that shooting position, 3 meters to the right and 10 meters to the left, there was no shot. And so I want to know when that guy got on the roof.
Let's put the visual of what that looks like on the screen right now.
We took that shot before.
Really?
We always do. We sit down in the space and we take the shot and send it back to Charlie so that he can see what he's going to see. Yeah, and that's a routine thing that we do.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it's mental preparation. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here's a visual of what you guys
Correct.
were able to see.
Yep. And so here's my question, and hopefully it'll come out in timeline. All right. We've all seen the pictures of the guy when he came on through the staircase. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, there's a difference between a guy walking up and getting on a roof and a guy walking up and getting on a roof. And did he run over to a known position? What you're doing there tactically is you're working a loophole. You guys did that on a roof. You bang a hole through one side, and then you step back and you put another hole and you shoot through that hole when that opportunity comes through. Like, this is a big loophole. And so you're telling me you just ran up onto a roof, pop yourself down in a position that was in a loophole? You've seen some of the idiocy out there. Palm gun, exploding microphone, hand signals. It's like, it doesn't even have to be true, and it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And so you're just using that First Amendment as a sword and not a shield. And we gotta step back at that and look at it. I was talking to you guys earlier, and I was like, at some point you put those people in the Wayback Machine. And the Wayback Machine is you take them to 1985. And when people said something that was untrue about you or your family, and they said something bad about you that other people heard, you split their lip.
There's a consequence.
An immediate consequence. Not a consequence that comes through a lawsuit 3.5 years later, an immediate consequence, so that a level of respect is gained. And then also, hey, if you do this again, I'll see you next time as well. And at some point, some people need to be put in the Wayback Machine. Mm-hmm. I remember I heard the gunfire, and then I don't know if you've heard this, but I heard that bullet slap him. And so you hear two sounds, actually. And so you hear the actual shot, and then you hear the bullet hit him in the neck, like you hear it. And so in my head, I had an attribution to that. Oop, I know what that is. And so I turned, and when I turned, started running, that's when Dan grabbed him. And I mean, this is a live fire event. It's not, everybody thinks in hindsight, well, this is a one-shot assassination. No, in our heads, there's
You
fire.
don't know what that is.
There's fire. There's more to come, right? And so Dan grabs Charlie, and then
Who's Dan?
Dan was the guy standing right next to Charlie when he got shot on the stage, and then I was to the right of Dan.
Okay.
And so he grabs him, and then I turn and see him start to the ground, but then I'm just thinking gunfire. And then he's leading to the ground because I'm on his right, where he was shot right here in the left of his neck. And so I jumped down on top of Charlie to cover him, because where we're at, it's concealment at best. It's a tabling with cloth on it, so it's not hard cover. Our guys are starting piling back in, and they're down, putting a human shield around him, but it's still just concealment. It's not cover. And so I initially dove down on top of him and just was on him almost face to face. And then when I was doing that, I went down, I could see the wound. And so I immediately shoved my hand into the wound to stop the bleeding, just trying to find the pressure. And it was coming out still. And I'm on top of him, like close. And it was still coming out enough that it squirted through my fingers, and I could taste it on my lips. And so I was like, man, this is a bad wound, right? And so I was just pushing that, and I don't know at that time. I know when you look at the clock, I was on him within 5 seconds and had my hands in him. And then I don't know when I put the first piece of medical on him. It was sometime after that, because I carry it right here, and that's why you carry it on you. You got to have it there. So. But then I remember pulling back away and thinking, damn, this is bad. Like, it's coming out. And I don't remember saying this, but the guys told me, and you can kind of see it on the video. I said, prep the car. And I just prepped, and you see the two guys just take off. And that car's prepped in position, but what I mean, doors are open, I mean, the whole deal. And then so we're doing pressure control there, and it's a carotid artery, so you can't put a tourniquet on it, obviously. And in my head, I'm like, pack pressure, pray, man. These are what you can do for that wound. But then, so I'm on top, and then I told the guys, we got to exfil. We're all out here in the open. We're trying to give wound care, and we got to get off this X, right? And so, but I just said, we're exfilling. And so we got up, I think it was like 15, 16 seconds from the time the shot happened to the time we were picking him up and headed.
15 to 16 seconds?
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah. And so.
That's fast.
Yeah, and this is horrible, but.
It's fast to get an initial assessment, plug a hole, pick them up, move them.
Yeah, and so it's just like, dang. And it's some horrible realities of it too, that like I told the guys this, and I haven't. When I jumped down on him, he had doll's eyes. And so I was like, man, these are wounds incompatible with life.
You knew.
Yeah.
You want to take a break? Let's take a break. You want a minute?
Good.
People are asking why were there no paramedics on site? Why was the ambulance parked outside? Why wasn't that ambulance used? Why a non-trauma facility was chosen instead of a proper emergency hospital? And these questions, they are not coming from conspiracy theorists. No. They are coming from people who watched what happened with their own eyes, and they can't reconcile this story with the footage. It's just difficult. You see? It's difficult. Yeah, absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, the truth is, when people love someone, when millions admire a man like Charlie, they don't just move on. They don't just move on. Yeah, they can't just accept what they are being told. They want transparency. They want accountability. Yes, and not to blame, but to prevent this from ever happening again. You see? That's the reason why.
So I'm down on him, and I don't know if when it sprayed me in the face, it caused me to flinch back or what. But then sometime around then, I said, hey, prep the car. And you see two of the guys just take off towards the car. And then Gibby and Rick and Dan and I said, hey, let's exfil now. And so we get up, and the timeline on that's like 15, 16 seconds, something like that, where you can see we're prepping. But the problem is direct pressure. Right, so when you're in a medical deal, and you've been in I've had these before on major accidents and GSWs when you show up on causes, you can't give direct pressure and move, right, in exfil, and you have to have counters, like giving CPR. You can't give people CPR like that. You have to have something. So it's like, hey, okay, well, let's just get in the car.
You can't
Yeah, but then it's
You can't apply direct pressure to move either because it's the neck and there goes the airway.
right. And so
And it's just it's damn near the worst.
and then like
place.
and then you don't give first aid when it's raining on you still, right? Or this first shot, second shot, how many more is coming in? So, and so I was like, hey, let's just call for exfil. So I called for exfil and said, let's go. The guys had prepped the car. So we're carrying, we trained officer down, I don't know how many times, or, person down. And we were carrying, and you can see it on the video. Rick breaks off at the perfect time. He goes around to the other side, jumps in. We do the drag. Don't try to shove the guy in. Half the team pushes in, the other half team drags from the other side. There was no comms for that. We just knew. He knew that's what we need to do. We've done that. He's done that. We've got careers built on doing that, real time and in training. And so guys weren't helping. Justin gets in. He knows his job to drive. That's his job. Dan jumps in. He knows he's nav. And so we're back there. Rick, we pull him across. Frank Turek, and it just jumps in the back. And so he's a known. So I was like, yep, it's Frank, but I'm not going to fight him on it. Frank's there because Frank's hurting, and it's because it's one of those things where you have dead kids on calls and you're not supposed to let the crime scene be contaminated, but I'm not going to deny a parent the ability to come in and say goodbye to their child. And Frank's many times said that Charlie felt like he was his son. I'm not going to deny him that. All this is running. And so we get in. Charlie was a big man, long. We kind of laugh about it now, but we get him in, and but the door's not going to close. We know that. And I just say, go. And we didn't even attempt to close it. I told Justin, go, go, go. So he takes off. Dan's already got the route done. We know that because we've done it. And so we take off in direct action. We get out onto the main road, and we're in a slick SUV, no lights, sirens, and so we're breaking our own intersections. We're cutting our own traffic. We're doing everything ourselves. Justin's driving. I mean, he's a trained driver. I mean, that's what our guys go to driving school for, just for that. It's expensive. It costs a lot, but it's a need. And it paid off because he drove it like a champion. Dan's up in there calling out right lefts. Well, this is next turn, 200 meters left. So he knows exactly where he's going. Rick and I are in the back. This is where it gets not funny, but you look back on it now. Rick pulled Charlie across, and then I'm working off my kit. And you always, when you build a kit out like that, you build it to where the stuff you need the soonest or most important is on the outside, right? Mm-hmm. And so all the bleed control is right here in front. So I'm just working out of the kit right there. And so I'm just, packing, pressure, repack. It gets saturated. You don't take it out. You just keep packing on top of it. The problem is we're going down the road, and Charlie's so tall that his left leg is down in the door, and the door won't close. And so I'm on my knees with the door open with my butt hanging out of the side, and I'm on my knees doing the medical. And Justin's driving, we're going 60, 80, 100. And Rick has me across the kit and my shirt so that I can use both hands to do the medical on. And
so you don't fall out of the fucking car.
So I don't fall out. And I just look at him, and I don't need to say, you got me. He's got me. I know he's got me. Rick's a brother. He's got the tattoo. And so I was like, he's got me. And so I'm just working medical. And Frank's praying out loud. Rick's praying out loud.
But does he have a pulse at this point?
So...
And there's no way.
In a situation like that, I'm not going to stop and take pulse.
I didn't know if somebody else had one or...
No, and so I have SpO2 monitor there. I've got all the stuff for it. I could have put it on, but it's irrelevant. Mm-hmm. It's irrelevant to treating that wound, right? And so I've got to stop that bleeding. That's my primary thing. Mm-hmm. And so where he had a pulse then, it's unknown. The body's an amazing thing that can do things even when it's technically, destroyed. And so my concern is bleed control. And so I'm just, Rick's got me, Justin's driving, World's coming by. I'm working, I end up putting about 36 feet of dressing in him, and then four 4x4s, and then 2 hemostatic 4x4s.
Sheesh.
And then just pressuring the whole time. So you're adding just pressure as much as you can get, pressure, adding pressure. And so we are heading to the hospital. It's a known. We're heading there, breaking intersections. We picked up a tail from PD somewhere along the way, and I know some audio came out about that. And I think they thought it was a secondary person that had been shot, but we didn't know if it was an active shooter. Everybody that says, "Oh, you should have treated him there and not moved him, stopped the bleeding." I'm like, well, yeah, I know. Same way. I was like, man, no, that's not, medicine doesn't happen on the X. Nothing happens. Somebody shoots at you, you get off the X, right? And so, and we didn't have cover.
Just for anybody that's listening, that is rule number 1. Law enforcement, military, any security, anything, get off the X.
Yeah. And
More rounds are coming in.
Yeah. And so we get to the hospital. Actually, we make it to the hospital through the traffic. We've got full wound pack in. We get out and we carry in to the door. Once we make it into the door, we see a gurney on the left-hand side. We put him on a gurney, and then I wheel him into a room. I start giving the patient information to the staff there. I end up getting on top of him and cutting the shirt that he had on off, that white Freedom shirt. And so I cut it off so they could get to him, so that I didn't articulate this to them, but I wanted to get that stuff off so they could put a defibrillator on him. And so, and then started talking about pushing drugs. And so I was back and forth with them on drugs and defibrillator. And so then, once you get that shirt cut off and moved out of the way, there's enough of medical professionals in there. And so I just want to get out of their way. And so I got out of their way and walked out of the room and stood outside the room and held guard on the outside door of the room so nobody else could come in there.
Covered in Charlie's blood.
Yeah, I had it all over my face. And, Rick and I had it all over our arms, and our from about here down was just covered. And and it was, I feel bad for the hospital staff, because we showed up looking like that, and they didn't know we were coming, even though we had called 911. But I don't know what happened to that. So we show up and guys got blood all over their face, and carrying a guy with blood solid on my pants and shoes. And so then I just stood out there, and then finally this lady, and I feel horrible. She came up to me and she said, "Hey, come with me." And she took me in a room and physically washed my face and my hands and stuff. The nurse that was there at the hospital. So it's like, man, what humanity.
Man. There's been a lot of rumors going around about there was no autopsy, none of that. Was there an autopsy?
There was, and I can speak to that. Personally, I can speak to that. One, for those people saying that, do a FOIA. Do a FOIA to the medical examiner's office to Utah County. Get off your lazy ass and do a FOIA. They may not give you the autopsy information right now, but they'll certainly tell you, yeah, there was an autopsy. That's the first one. The second one was the OR doc. Your question earlier about a pulse. We'll get back to that. And so they ended up working him in the room, and they ended up taking him to the OR because they got a pulse.
They did get a pulse?
They did get a pulse, but Charlie was a healthy man. He was very cognizant of his health, and he was a strong guy. And
They've had a pulse?
But
how? Hold on. How long had it been since the shot to the hospital?
I have no idea. But you can.
That is a jugular shot.
You can be dead. A central nervous system. You got a strong heart, right? And that's what the OR doc told me.
Okay.
He said that's what it was. And so,
holy shit.
Yeah. And so I have no way of. I'm not a doctor. I just know what he told me. And so we go to that, and I'm sorry. What was your question again?
We were talking about the autopsy.
Oh, the autopsy. And so once they came down and said he didn't make it, and he talked about, he said if he'd have been shot in the OR, I wouldn't have been able to save him. And I was like, he's just kind of confirming things that I already knew. And so, and so I don't know how long, I don't know what the timeline was, but I want to say, I can't remember who it was, but I knew, I was like, we're not going to turn this into some JFK. I specifically asked one of the doctors, I don't know, I remember what she looked like, dark skin, like dark hair, probably 35, 40 years old. I said, how long until we can get an autopsy? And I remember her saying a day and a half. And I was like, oh. And so, she's the boss of that. That's just information. And so I remember, I was like, man, that's a long time. We need to get this autopsy done and done right so that there's not some conspiracy. So, you're starting to think forward to that. And so I remember I was standing next to the chief of staff, and the vice president called. And the vice president asked him, what do you need? And then he looked at me and said, what do we need? And I said, we need an autopsy now. So for these people that are saying there wasn't one done, go away. It was done.
I must say this, it's actually heartbreaking to see how much money is being made out of this by so many people, out of this tragedy. Yeah, it's painful, you see, how people like to twist it so that they can get views and narratives. Some of the people out there, and honestly, I don't get it. I just don't, because when a life is lost, especially a life as influential as Charlie's life was, this story shouldn't be about profits or views. No, it should be about truth, ladies and gentlemen. Healing, see? Yeah, and respect. And respect, you see? And I think that's why so many people are emotional. So many people. Because this isn't just about, it's not just like a political moment. No, it's a human being here. It's a human we're talking about. So people clearly, they feel betrayed, confused, and deeply saddened because a man who meant so much to them is gone. You see? He's gone. Literally. You see? And here's the part that even matters most, that none of this, it's not about attacking anyone, ladies and gentlemen. It's not. None of this is about tearing somebody down. No, this is about trying to understand, because healing can only come when truth is allowed to breathe. When truth is allowed to breathe, that's when healing can come. You see? Yeah, and people are saying things like, we are not gonna just move on. We're not just gonna go away. We want answers. You see? We want answers. Yeah. And that is not, it's not being said in hatred. No. People, they just want answers. You see? And ladies and gentlemen, there are always three sides to every story. Always. Yours, mine, and the truth. Always. You see? Yeah. And that's why so many of us standing right now, caught between what we saw and what is being told, what we're being told, and somehow it still seems as if we don't really know anything. You see? It's crazy. It's crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Some people say we don't trust anybody involved. Some are confused with the autopsy, and some wonder why certain individuals were calm, when they shouldn't have been. Some point out how quickly narratives were pushed. You see? Yeah. And others simply say, the more I hear, the less I know. See? But ladies and gentlemen, beneath all of this, beneath all these questions, the frustrations, we love the man. A lot of people, we love the man. And we lost that man. So, we just want truth. Yeah? Just want answers. See? Yeah. And my opinion is that people aren't angry at anyone. No, they don't hate somebody. They're just angry because they care. They cared, right? They're not angry because of somebody. Simply because they cared. See? And a lot of people out there, they are hearing because this should have never happened. This should have never happened. Yeah. And they are speaking because silence feels like betrayal, right? It does. So I would say this isn't about conspiracies or about blaming somebody. It's about acknowledging that something went wrong and learning from it with honesty and humility. You see? Because all the thoughts from all the people all over the world, from be it Asia, Africa, Europe, to the US, everywhere, I see a community that isn't divided, but I see people who are united. You see? United in seeking the truth. United in wanting to honor Charlie Kirk the right way. See? And the way that he deserves, really. With transparency, accountability, love, and integrity. See? Yeah. And maybe, just maybe, the healing begins when we stop shouting at each other. See? And admitting that until the truth comes out fully, clearly, and without a spin, the questions, they won't stop. They won't. You see? Yeah, and not out of anger or hatred, but out of love for a man who should still be here. That is said, ladies and gentlemen. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this one, click on the next one also.